the joy of love. You got the full 6 minutes plus there of that beautiful hymn. Love never ends, indeed. Beautiful hymn it is. Welcome to Radio Maria Ireland. Thank you for your company today. Always good to have you with us. Thanks to all who are listening in and sharing with us today. Father Eamonn McCarthy is my name, the priest director of Radio Maria Ireland full-time and always at your service. Thanks indeed to all who are watching as well on Facebook Live and YouTube too. Good to have your company likewise today. So please do drop a comment, drop a like as always, and maybe if you have a question or two, by all means communicate with us via Facebook Messenger, via the comments section here too as well. Even if it is that it's later on in the day that you're tuning in or watching, why not give us a shout out there? We'd be glad to hear from you. So the usual contact numbers, you probably know them all off by heart as I do now at this day, 089467 2000 to text and WhatsApp, plus 353 89467 2000. Give a call on the landline. Catherine has very kindly volunteered to come in and help us with answering the phone today. So please do give a call on 014 123 456, plus 353 123 456. She would be glad to take your call, your prayer request, your music request, again, your thoughts or observations in relation to anything you're hearing or listening to on Radio Maria Ireland. And by all means, email us info@radiomaria.ie, and please do get in touch with us by correspondence. Write to us at St. Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22. So no, thanks indeed for being part of the radio here. Just chatting with John a little bit earlier, John Carlin, our president, and things all moving along nicely on all fronts. Just to give a shout out, you heard the jingle a little bit earlier that John himself made for the 22nd of September here at Radio Maria after the 10 o'clock Mass in the morning, I think is the start time. We will celebrate 40 days of continuous 24/7 Eucharistic adoration in our Adoration Chapel. So we are very much hoping that you will take an interest in this, that you will respond and maybe like to sign up for an hour or two or three, or maybe an overnight shift. We get a number of people who might do, well, a half night or a full night and come on and allow the adoration to continue continuously right throughout the days. So as you may remember, as a long-time listener, we tried a full 40 days and 40 nights in Lent of last year, but unfortunately the lockdown and restrictions kicked in as the virus took hold, and it brought all of that to an end. We didn't quite complete our full 40 days. So we have been having a number of 40 hours of adoration, which has been lovely. It's been great to welcome guests and visitors into the studio for that. It needs to be coordinated, of course, such that we're not overwhelmed with those who may come. You might have a lot of people for some given hours and then very few for other hours. We're hoping to have it well organized so that it'll be spread out accordingly and will be attended well. A lot of people over a long period of time. It's quite a daunting project to take on, and it's quite demanding. So please do, if you can help us out, give us a call. We'll pass your number on to John Carlin and his little team. They have a little group of them there, Nobby and Maura Clark, Damien Richardson, and John. They have a committee for this 40 days. They've done it several times already. John was on speaking with us, and Damien actually, before they did 40 days and 40 nights on top of Croagh in April, I think it was. It wasn't, July or August when it'd be that much warmer. It was cold enough now, quite freezing up on top of Croagh. So God bless them for it. And they did 40 days and 40 nights as well in Stamullen, County Meath, and another 40 days and nights in St. Mary's in Belfast. So it's been around the country. And so here at Radio Maria Ireland, we're hosting the next 40 days and 40 nights. And the idea is two themes or two intentions, that of faith, the re-enkindling of the light of faith in our country, so very much needed. So praying the Lord to send His grace upon our land and to draw people back to faith once more, but also for life. that we might build a culture of life and embrace a civilization of love. These are the key intentions of the 40 days for life. And as that's going on, there will be a number of two who will be making silent vigil, keeping silent vigil outside of those places where abortion is now legally available in Ireland too. Not by way of any kind of public protest, and nothing that is challenging or seeking to be confrontational, nothing of that kind. Just a gentle, prayerful presence. And so our prayer here in the studio before Jesus and the Blessed Sacrament will be that support and solidarity that will accompany that mission for life too. And indeed your prayers as you join us here will certainly feed into and will help the work of the radio. Now, we haven't worked out the very fine details just yet, but it's certainly my hope and my ambition that we will bring you live holy hours from our 40 days in the course of that time frame. What I'm hoping, what I have in mind at least, and we'll work it out, we'll chat through the logistics of it, is that perhaps the Divine Mercy hours, maybe not all of them, but that we can feature that with the Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and that on camera you will be able to come and adore the Blessed Sacrament with us and join in all the prayers from the studio here via the radio, even if you can't see as well, but that will be coming from before Jesus and the Blessed Sacrament at least. I do hope we may indeed have other moments of live prayer from our 40 days and 40 nights, 40 days for life. So it's beginning on the 22nd of September. Again, you have all the contact details there. I'll give you the text number here, 089 467 2000. Please do get in touch with us. The landline, give Catherine a ring now as well, 014 123 456. And as John says, you know, it's an awful lot easier to do an all-night vigil or to come and spend prolonged period of time here at the studio than on the top of Croagh Patrick because you have the, whatever it is, 2 or 3 hour climb to get to the top, and then the idea was an overnight vigil. How they worked is extraordinary. They went from 3 p.m. to 3 p.m. that if you volunteered, you climbed the mountain to get to the top for 3, you stayed for 12 hours and you climbed back down again, or 24 hours rather. That was quite heroic, I must say, how they managed to keep going for 40 days and 40 nights. Heroic. So there's such great prayer warriors there, out there, let's say, and so many of you indeed. So for those of you maybe unable to join in, indeed, perhaps you'll be able to do some of that with us here on the radio as well. All the prayers, very gratefully appreciated, and certainly the Lord sees all that is done in secret and rewards everything that is done in secret, and no doubt he will answer our prayers too and bring about a re-enkindling of faith and a great respect for the culture of life, and help, the necessary help for mothers and their unborn. So that's from the 22nd of September next for 40 days and 40 nights. So we'll be giving that a good plug and a good shout out again as time goes on. Now just a little shout out too for the centenary of the Legion of Mary coming up. The September has come upon us at last, and the 7th of September, of course, this day week is Tuesday really, is the date of the anniversary of 100 years of the Legion of Mary. But on the 3rd of September, that's this coming Friday, we will air for you here on Radio Maria at 7:30 the centenary Holy Mass celebrated by Archbishop Dermot Farrell, coming from St. Nicholas of Myra Church, Francis Street here in Dublin. That's 7:30 this Friday evening. Now, what's going to happen to our Catechism in a Year program, you're asking? Or what's going to happen to our Pioneer First Friday program, you're asking? Or maybe not. Father John very kindly will come on for about half an hour, 7 to 7:30, just to keep the momentum going for the Catechism in a Year program. And we'll give way then for the Holy Mass to come from Francis Street Church for the centenary. This is once in 100 years. We can't afford to miss these things. And Father Robert will very kindly then lead us in a half an hour of the Pioneer program at 8:30. I'm assuming the Mass will last in the region of an hour there. It will, of course, be live streamed. If you look up St. Nicholas of Myra Church there, or francisstreetparish.ie, you'll find that Mass will be available there as well. And please God, I hope to be there myself. How could I not be in person at such an auspicious occasion as 100 years of the celebration of the Legion? We do hope to have a little extra Legion of Mary flavour. We've got pretty strong flavour of the Legion anyway in Radio Maria. How could we not, once again? But next Wednesday, please God, Mary Stenson has a few little plans there. We'll feature some speakers, please God, and members of the Legion of Mary joining with us. And I'm hoping for the centenary year that we will up the ante a little bit more on all things Legion, because as I've often said, you've heard me say it here, such a strong link and association and connectivity between the Legion of Mary and Radio Maria. Such again, a Marian apostolate reaching out to souls and seeking to bring about transformation, conversion, and growth in holiness, really. And you don't need the name Legion of Mary, I often think, or you don't even need the name Radio Maria in a certain sense, in that this is Catholicism, with its sleeves rolled up. That's really what the Legion is. That's what Radio Maria is. It's engaging with our faith. It's living our faith. So you can call it something else. It doesn't have to have this particular name. But it's bring out the best indeed of what we as priests, but also as lay faithful in particular. This is the charism of the Legion, in empowering the lay faithful in their charism as the priesthood, the royal priesthood of the Church. That every one of us is called to be a priest, which only goes to say, we are called to preach the gospel. You don't have to be ordained. You don't have to wear a piece of white plastic in your shirt collar to be a priest to others. As you know, on the wedding days, the bride and groom are the priest to one another. The priest is only there as a witness, the actual ordained priest, but the bride and groom confer the sacrament of their consent on one another. So why can it not be the case that in passing on the faith to one another, we're preaching the gospel, as would every good priest wish to do too. Every one of us has that role and responsibility and duty of preaching the gospel. It's otherwise hiding our light under a bushel. What purpose did that serve? A city built on a hilltop cannot be hidden. This is how we are called to be part already of the heavenly Jerusalem, that city above, so that we can witness to Christ. That's really effectively what membership of the Legion of Mary does. It simply animates and puts shape and form and discipline on the task of evangelization, and puts the weekly meeting, the weekly allocation of work, the reporting back. It just puts a fine shape on our faith journey and enables us. And again, the Legion being an army, the idea of the discipline of an army and of gathering as a force. I love Frank Duff's image actually in the handbook. He says, one red hot burning coal in a fireplace is fine, it's all well and good. But if you fill that fireplace with lots of burning red coals, the glow from it heats the house and brings comfort. So the glow then that we collectively as faithful believers bring, as we in a coordinated way or a systematic way or in a united way witness our faith, that does such great good. And that's again the very same on Radio Maria. We're part of that family of faith together, and we help the weaker coals to glow a little brighter. We invite the coals that have yet to be set fire with faith to enter in and join in to become glowing embers in the same way. So it's a lovely moment to celebrate the centenary, and we'll share with you as the year unfolds a lot more from Frank Duff. We'll dip in certainly to his writings and into his story, and we will reflect again on the tremendous value that the Legion of Mary has brought to the Church and continues indeed to bring into the lives of many souls, and how many souls have accelerated their journey of faith, their journey towards holiness. How vocations have come and are still coming through the Legion of Mary in colossal numbers, and priesthood certainly, religious life certainly, but also heroic married couples in the same way who've met through the Legion of Mary and have brought tremendous blessings to their married life and love through their Legion membership too. So looking forward to that very much too. Now, I just picked up a copy of the free monthly newspaper, the Dominican monthly newspaper, the Alive, that you're possibly familiar with. Just hold it up there for the camera to see. And on the front you can see they're organising a Catholic men's conference and a Catholic women's conference. Father Marius, of course, has his own version of the men's and women's conference. He has his men's conference, in fact, is coming up here on Radio Maria on the 11th Saturday week it is, the 11th of September. So please don't miss that. It'll be right throughout the afternoon and some lovely speakers lined up to share with you. For the Dominicans, their Catholic Women's Conference, I think, is first up, and that's going to be on the 18th of September. So look at this. You'll have back-to-back conferences available to you. Now, the Dominican conferences won't be on Radio Maria Ireland per se, at least not at this point of sharing this with you. But so Father Marius and his men's conference will be Saturday the 11th. The 18th will be the Dominican Women's Conference, and the 25th of September, the Men's Conference. So let me just see if I can get the details here for you, because I think it's a case of attending in person. Please book your seat, it says here, emailing dominicanscork@gmail.com. Let me see. It's going to be held in Cork, so I presume in the Dominican facilities there on Pope's Quay in Cork City. Says St. Mary's Pope's Quay. So they give the details there to get in touch with them, and by all means keep that in mind. So the speakers at the Women's Conference, Jackie Asco and her daughter Katie, and Olive Foley as well. It's from 12 until 3. Mass at 12 o'clock, followed by the Rosary. Jackie Asco at 1 o'clock. A snack break there. This will be in the Church of St. Mary's in Pope's Quay in Cork. Katie Asco at 2:15, and Olive Foley will join them at 3 o'clock. Topics will be motherhood, authentic femininity, discipleship in adversity, and social media, the good and the bad, and its effect on society. That's the Women's Conference coming up with the Dominicans on the 18th. I say that's in St. Mary's in Pope's Quay. It's not on Radio Maria, but just to give it a shout out. The Men's Conference, likewise, St. Mary's Pope's Quay, will feature fatherhood, authentic masculinity, loneliness, social media, again, the good, the bad, its effect on society. Seamus Hickey will be at that, All-Ireland Hurling Championship winner with Limerick. Declan Ganley, entrepreneur and patented inventor, chairman and CEO of Rivada Networks. Declan is an agitator of his own in political circles too. Father Philip Mulrine, again, one of the Dominicans there, former professional footballer for Man United, Norwich City, left all of that behind him to become a Dominican priest. So there are lots to coming forward there. So there's 3 conferences in a row, and as I say, the first of those conferences, the Men's Conference, will be here on Radio Maria, and we'll be glad to share that with you here, and glad of your company this coming Friday. So very good. What else do I want to touch in on? Yes, just before we go to a little music pause. Today, the 1st of September, is the Day of Prayer, World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation. And it's interesting that we here in the Latin Church, the Roman Catholic Church, are commemorating this day and inaugurating this day in communion with the Orthodox churches of the East too. And so that's a wonderful opportunity to bear witness to our growing communion with our Orthodox brothers and sisters. Again, ecumenism in the Church would have this in mind above all, because the Orthodox of the East are so closely aligned in many ways doctrinally with the Latin Church of the West. The great schism back in the turn of the first millennium was a great rift in the Church, and sad indeed that the traditions should have separated and again have different, you see, they have a patriarch in the Orthodox churches, and I'm sure there's not altogether a certain unity even among the Orthodox either. But at any rate, because there are Orthodox rites which are in communion with Rome, they've, as it were, kept their establishment or communion with Rome, but they've held on to their own respective liturgies too. And I'm sure that's the hope going forward, that we could all indeed be one and respecting one another's liturgies, and so closely united in teaching and in doctrine in so many ways, especially, for instance, with the great love of our Blessed Lady as Mother of Jesus, Mother of God. That's certainly true in the Orthodox churches. And belief in the real presence, again, I think with nuances, but it's held strongly by many of the Orthodox. What creates the tension or difficulty may well be the papacy and the idea of the church with its head. At any rate, I don't know, I'm not that well versed on the topic of the conversation. I don't want to pretend to be. But it is certainly Pope St. John Paul's earnest wish when he wrote about these things that the church will breathe with both lungs, that it is as if the mystical body of Christ is disunited and breathing on one lung, as it were, at a time, as opposed to breathing with both lungs. It's a nice image because it's a corporeal one. It's a physical one. So here, with the World Day of Care for Creation and World Day of Prayer for Care of Creation, it makes for a very credible and effective witness, Pope Francis says. It'll bear witness to our growing communion. We live in a time where all Christians are faced with identical and important challenges, and we must give common replies to those in order to appear more credible and effective. So it's not just an environmental crusade that Pope Francis is on. It's much deeper than that. There's no doubt about it, because the custody of creation simply calls us back, even without faith, calls us back to the gift of life. Because what purpose does creation serve? Why did God put it there? Except that it was to give glory to Him and to be of service to us as His human creatures as the highest order of creation. This is what's at stake here. So it's not an idle gesture by Pope Francis, nor is it just pandering to those who, the environmentalists, and to the whole climate change, I won't call it ideology, it's probably not fair, but the whole climate change culture, which at times seems to just dominate over some of the bigger issues that seem to be at stake. But if it is that we can, and it's certainly the case that Father Billy was chatting about this last Wednesday, that it's kind of scary, some of the things that are happening in terms of the destruction of the environment. If it is that we have this disregard for the material world around us, surely it only reflects the very same disregard we have for one another and for human life. And again, if it's a pathway, if it's a stepping stone, if it's a means by which it gets us to think and act a little bit more in consideration for others and the good of others, well, we're on a path certainly towards solidarity with our neighbour, and then that too, in the act of charity that it demands, surely can lead to faith. Because why? Why be good to our neighbour? Why bother about creation? Who cares anyway? Except that there's a higher purpose, a higher goal, except that there's a common bond that we share. All of these themes that run through the question of Laudato Si and care for our common home forces us back on the question of the imbalance in the world in relation to the poor and the rich. It really does. It drives it home to us. Are we rich exploiting the poor by our lack of care for the environment? And then if it is that we are encouraged to begin to care a little more about our neighbour and the poor, that certainly is a tremendous step towards faith. Because why care for poorer people in the world if it is that, we have a disregard for life in general? And then this surely then prompts us and energizes us back on steps towards building a culture of life and protecting the most poor and the most vulnerable, the elderly, the unborn, and then the poor who are so sorely tried and afflicted. I wasn't on Vatican News. I was listening yesterday They're saying that the most dangerous place for a child to live and be brought up today is now Afghanistan. They recruit them as child soldiers. There's can be quite a lot of abuse takes place with orphaned and children who are just uncared for. Child protection is a major source of concern for a country like Afghanistan now. So you see, again, in caring for the environment, it just prompts us along all those paths of concern, and ultimately of concern for life, and then also concern for eternal life and the giver of all these gifts, which is God. It's a path towards faith. So there's great wisdom in this, and if it is that it's capitalizing on the crisis really that prevails at this time in relation to creation and the environment, so be it. That's not a bad thing at all. A reminder to us that we are not our own authors. We're not empowered with an autonomy that's independent. We are not God, and we're forced to consider that. We're forced, as it were, to answer that question on account of the damage that's being wreaked in creation, some of it irreversible. And this is so lamentable. What are we to do? How are we to preserve this delicate balance around us? And what does that prompt us then to consider? So it's very, very important, really. So the World Day of Prayer offers to individual believers and to the community a precious opportunity to renew our personal participation in this vocation as custodians of creation. We're called to care for creation, raising to God our thanks for the marvelous works that He has entrusted to our care, invoking His help for the protection of creation and His mercy for the sins committed against the world in which we live. So littering is a terrible thing, and if again, in proportion as it damages and hurts the gift of creation, it seems to me that this is a sin, maybe not of world-shattering proportions, but again, it's a failure to care. And is that not what constitutes sin? A disregard for the things of God, a disregard for the good of others. I'm throwing my litter around and not caring, or wasting food unnecessarily. Again, something to be very mindful of. So it just prompts us. And so maybe we should have a little dip into Laudato Si again and just refresh our minds on some of the wealth of great wisdom that's in that papal document, and to remind ourselves again daily, regularly, of our duty not to waste, to protect the good of the environment that surrounds us, and to actively and proactively do something to build up and care for creation. So the very least we can do is pray and bring these things to prayer, and the Lord then has an opportunity to inspire us as well. So Tara's kindly printed off one or two things here that I might just come back to. We'll put on a little bit of related music, the Creation Hymn by Matt Boswell. And again, if you're listening back later or even right now, why not please do send us in a text. Give Catherine a call on the landline 014 123 456. Text us, WhatsApp us as well, a voice message even to 089 467 2000, and put a +353 in front of that if you're in the north or outside of Ireland. Again, we do love to hear from you, and we reply certainly as best we can to every message that comes into us here. So do please get in touch. Likewise, of course, email info@radiomaria.ie or write to us anytime. Just put pen to paper, a little note, get out your jotter. It's not what they used to call it for school. It's mindful of our boys and girls going back to school. Get out your jotter and rip out a page, a centre page. Isn't that what we used to do at school in class? Get out the biro, get out the pencil case, and drop us a line. We're here at St. Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22. So now nice to have Tara back with us once again. Some messages coming in, welcoming Tara back and of appreciation and support. So Tara's looking after the mixing desk too. So the Creation Hymn by Matt Boswell, back after this.
Creator God, who carved the canyons with a painless breath, who sends the rains on unmanned fields and tucks the sun to rest. The dawn is clothed with brilliance and adorned in full array, reflections of the Father's love put wildly on display. Sovereign one who fashioned oceans deep by whisper strong, who rends the water from the land and lends the depths her song. The fullness of the sky and sea, in reverence do they stand, to testify the sovereignty and goodness of your hand. Hallelujah, all creation sing, holy, holy, glory to the King. Eternal one who knows no turning, faithful through all things, unbroken praise and righteousness adorn your matchless name. The frailty of created things, sustained by Christ alone, sufficient is your providence, immortal is your throne. Hallelujah, all creation sing, holy, holy, glory to the King. Hallelujah, all creation sing, holy, holy, glory to the King.
About 30 seconds, Father. Thank you.
All creation sing, holy, holy, glory to the
Now, that good creation hymn, Matt Boswell. Thanks for that, Tara. Good. So welcome back to the Chatechesis moment here on Radio Maria. Big shout out to all our dear friends in Middleton Parish. We were there promoting last weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Many thanks to the parish priest, Father Jim Killeen. And just lovely to meet all my brother priests there in the Diocese of Cloyne, from where I hail, of course. East Cork, all my roots are down there as well. So it was a bit of a homecoming for me. Completely biased, naturally. But it was nice to get home, so to speak. So thanks to Father John Ryan, Father Mark Heher, and retired Monsignor Ned Gould as well. There was 4 masses there, and they very kindly allowed me to move in and take over a little bit and preach there. And it was just so lovely to meet so many dear friends from 20 plus years ago. It was 22 years ago, in fact. June, who works in the sacristy there, reminded me that she arrived August 1999. And I arrived in September. We were both brand new, shiny new. She is sacristan, and me is the new curate there. And I'd had some lovely experiences and lovely memories indeed from my ministry, and lots of challenges too, I might say. during those 4 years that I spent there. And thereafter, I never got to spend more than 3 years in any assignment for the next 5 or 6 assignments until here at Radio Maria. I'm gone past 4 years here, so this is the longest I've ever served anywhere. So it's all new territory for me. But they were lovely 4 years in Middleton, and again, lovely to meet lots of old and dear friends that I had made while there, and people of great faith and looking well. And sure, we're all 20 years older, but keeping the faith, keeping the faith. So thank you indeed for your kindness, your generosity, and your words of encouragement and support to us in our work here at Radio Maria. We're so glad to be able to go out and to meet people once again. And with that in mind, with God's help, we're going to, not to a different parish, sounds like the same name, Littleton, not Middleton, but Littleton. And Littleton is in the Diocese of Cashel and Emily. Father Tom Fogarty is the parish priest there. And so please God will visit his parish this Saturday evening and Sunday morning and get to as many of the masses as we physically can. I think it's split. He has two parishes he's ministering to. And there's a second priest, I think, there as well. So again, we look forward to a different diocese and different location. Please God is coming Saturday. And the following Saturday, once more, we'll be heading off to another diocese, the Diocese of Ferns and the town of Wexford in the southeast, of course. And Father Billy is anxious to welcome us there, and has asked me to speak a little bit about Frank Duff and the centenary for the time that's in it too at the masses there. So very much looking forward to our visit to Wexford. And Kathy has penciled in, I think it's affirmed at this stage, to the parish of Charleville in North Cork, going forward just on the Limerick border there. So that's for the following weekend. So now we're finding our way right around Munster. Is Wexford, would that be Leinster? No, I suppose not. Maybe. Ferns would be Leinster Archdiocese for sure. So we're finding our way around that southern half of the country. Speak to a priest from Kerry, Father John Kearns, who had some lovely things to say actually about the radio, because he went down ill for a time and was confined, and just thought Radio Maria was a godsend to keep him in touch and in tune, and with his prayer life and journey, the rosaries and everything. So thanks for that, Father John. Big shout out. Father John is down in not Kilgarvan, nearby Glengariff. I should have got my names together. There's a group, a little cluster of parishes in Kerry there where he's ministering, and they're having to regroup, and the news came out that the parish of Kilgarvan now will go without a priest. So there'll be another parish to add into their cluster to serve and minister too. So I'm hoping, with God's help, we can arrange a visit down to Kerry likewise. So that'll be kind of going the width of Ireland right across the south. Now we went west to east, I suppose, from Omagh to Newry in the north, and I would love again to make a return visit. We got such a lovely welcome, both in Omagh and in Newry. So kind. And just lovely people. And again, meeting you, many of you listeners, it really is a great thrill for us to go out and to see the lovely feedback and to hear you and to meet you and to engage with you. It's something I really enjoy doing. So with God's help, that's beginning to pick up a little bit of momentum, beginning to pick up a little bit of speed. It means that I'm out of the building a bit more here, and I think that's the way John would have it. As you know, John is our go-ahead president, and there's no sitting around on your hands in this, because the work is so urgent and so important. So we have a couple of parishes lined up. Booterstown is one of them. I forget the other. I think maybe Corduff, I'm not sure. But here in Dublin, into the weeks ahead too. That'll be a couple of Wednesday mornings, I think, when we'll be out and about in Dublin Diocese too. So we're not neglecting the west of Ireland, not by any means, and there are plans there likewise. We've asked our printer to go ahead and print the lovely new design of our cards, and I'm hoping that went through last week, so I'm hoping that before the week is out, we will have our new bookmarks. And a number of people had kindly asked to send a little bundle that they would pass around and distribute among their friends or family, that they might push in the doors of their own neighbourhood as well. Do a quick little excursion, take a dozen, take 20, and just pop them indoors around and near you, and spread a little bit of the message of Radio Maria. And who knows who might well tune in, get a moment of grace, a moment of insight, a moment of blessing. And this is really how I see Radio Maria coming into its own to help priests and to help you in your parishes too. Because you look around today, you see, where is everybody? Why are the churches seemingly so empty? What is holding people back? Where has the faith gone? Is it still there? And my firm belief is that the faith has not gone away. It's very much alive and active. It's maybe under the surface for many. It's not far away. And it only takes a moment of grace to re-enkindle and re-establish and reconnect. And in dropping a little bookmark here, dropping a little bookmark there, again, scattering a seed here and there, who knows? Who knows? We've had any number of people who saw the notice at the back of the church, discovered Radio Maria, and haven't looked back. So glad to be able to tune out of some of the secular negativity and oppressiveness that seems to prevail, and to have a good sound Catholic voice in your home with a lovely variety of speakers and participants and presenters, and hopefully lots of uplifting music as well. No ads, no politics, and just the blessings that accompany that, and a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightness to what we do here as well. So thank you for that. And again, we're so grateful to all who just give us such a lovely welcome wherever we go. And we try to do so as gently as we can. Cap in hand is what I tell our dear volunteers in approaching parishes, that we're not there to impose, we're not there to dictate. We're simply there offering an invitation to come and share in the blessing of a faith family on the radio. Nothing more than that, really. There's no rocket science, there's no hard sell. It's just we've got a great gift. We have the blessing of our faith, we have the fellowship of one another, and this you can carry with you wherever you go, through the app on your phone, through the landline number that you can dial and listen to, again on Sairview 210. That's all it is. If you've probably listened in to me preaching in churches, it's kind of the same message wherever I go, but again, it's an invitation like that, and we just hope that, please God, the name is being at least entering into minds and hearts, and that in God's time many will indeed become listeners and supporters of the radio. And I might just encourage you in that area as well. Please do help us in any way you can, certainly with that promotion work, and certainly by your prayers, which are very efficacious and very potent. We see that here. And certainly by your financial support, which is so very needed. We're still falling that bit short of our needs and having to rely on the world family. We were hoping to be quite independent of that, but please God, in time, as the promotion continues. Archbishop Dermot Farrell here in Dublin, he published a pastoral letter on the whole question of the climate, and echoing for us indeed some of the teaching of the Church already, and expressing how, and you've heard Father Billy chat about these things on his Wednesday morning breakfast show, that faith and science are not opposed to each other, but rather in our view of our Catholic faith, our Christian faith, our faith lends itself to science and the phenomenon around us, and just the physicality of our common home and the needs that attend that. So we're living, he says, on the edge of huge historical change. I would suggest we're actually on the crest of that wave. It's happening. I mean, last 50 years plus of my own life, just the amount of change that has taken place. Much for the good, and much maybe not so good. Staggering, the acceleration of change, it seems. Things just not staying the same. So that even our common home, we're observing, is under threat. Archbishop Dermot is saying this. Our lifestyles and the economies which support them are contributing significantly to this, and to the crisis that's around us. The many wildfires raging these days, rising sea levels, the loss of biodiversity, and depletion of the soil. These are some of the indicators that can be measured and are cause for grave concern. The future of life on this earth, which God created and which he saw was good, hangs in the balance. Humans are certainly part of that, and our use of the things in the environment are unequivocally part of that destructive force. It's beyond doubt that climate change is being caused by what we have done and what we continue to do in upsetting nature's equilibrium and balance. And the more we plunder the resource of the earth, the more damage obviously is done, very often irreparable. I'll come back to it because it's an ongoing theme, and it's just important that we're very conscious and aware of these things in a positive way, that we begin to be proactive in seeking to play our part, to be good custodians of creation. It's 12 o'clock, so our time has come to an end. Thank you for being with me here visually, and we'll take our leave of you on the camera, but do please stay with us for our Angelus and Midday Prayer.